Welcome to podcast 43. Yes, 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 maybe, but yes.
And we are live back to our regular schedule. Hope everyone's been good. Hope our special bonus episodes have filled that void of our normal routine. Chris, how have you been?
I've been good. I've been good. Folding. It's been a good new year. Just trying to get back into watching movies. I kind of haven't watched a whole lot this week, but
I get you. I get you. Sometimes it's like that. I get it. It wavers for me. Sometimes I watch a shit ton, and sometimes I barely watch anything.
yeah,
But
it's just been mainly like football and stuff.
I
But
get you.
yeah,
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. Well, um, let's start off by what have you watched since I know it's been a while. It's been about like 2 weeks, I think, or
yeah,
maybe
yeah.
even longer. I think the way we record, maybe even three.
Well,
Um,
then, yeah. I mean, that does give me some things to talk about that I haven't. I would say that the best thing I've watched in recent memory was the movie Cold War, the Polish film by Paweł Polakowski. I'm probably not pronouncing that right, but it's
yeah,
came out in 2018. It's actually Amazon produced it,
that was the
and
one
it's just
I really really wanted to see. I think it got a Criterion release, right?
yeah, it did. Yeah,
Okay, yeah.
last year, and it's just really beautiful black and white film, just kind of about like a love story between these two people in the in the music business, and just kind of I don't know the way that it utilizes music is very beautiful, and
Mm-hmm.
I think it's done really well. And I also it's short and sweet, um, really to the point, also very yeah, I don't want to give much away, but
Yeah.
great film. The two leads, Joanna Klug and Tomas Kott, do a great job.
Mm-hmm.
I can't stress just how beautiful this film looks. Like the the shots of you know like old, like they because it takes place in like communist Poland, and like
Mm-hmm.
it's very like a barren place, and then like kind of very empty, and the black and white really helps capture that. And then like when they then it later goes to Paris, the
Mm-hmm.
film,
Was it
and
shot
so
on
like
digital black and white?
no, it was shot on 35 millimeter.
Okay, good. That's
Yeah,
I
no,
was I was a little curious about that. And I know you're a stickler for film, which I
that's right.
completely agree with. But just curious what how it was shot.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, um, I'll jump in. We can go tit for tat if you might want to call it that. Me and you watched. Oh no, we talked about that. Sorry, I watched Disturbia. Last week. Have you heard of Disturbia?
Yeah, the Shia LaBeouf thing, that's kind of like Rear Window, but like
Yeah.
with teens.
So I believe it first started out as like a Rear Window remake because I got really bored and well, I mean, I know it was I think it was supposed to be a more literal remake, and I don't think it was supposed to have as many like creative adjustments. I guess you might. I'm trying to think of the right word, but um, it's not like a direct. I think it tries to take the same idea and themes of Rear Window and modernize them. I'm not like I liked this movie originally when I saw it as a kid, and I think it starts out fine, and then the farther you go, the more ridiculous it gets, and I think it could be pretty fun to watch with a few people. But it's a weird mix of what feels like a Disney Channel movie and like a cheesy, early 2000s thriller.
Mhm.
Because it wants to be dark, but it also wants to have like this light side, which the director talks about a lot. Like I said, I got really bored after I watched it. Um, couldn't think of what to do, so I watched the behind the scenes little documentary that they did. And yeah, it's a little. I don't think it's a terrible movie, but I don't think it's a very good one. But I think it might be fun to pop on if you really want to, a cheesy early 2000s movie. But I know there's been a lot of accusations against Shia recently, and I know I guess we can.
Well, not even
Yeah.
accusations. I mean, he confirmed them.
Oh, he did? Okay, I wasn't sure. I've
Yeah.
heard that a lot of people have been coming out against that, so that's very unfortunate, and I'm I'm sad to oh God, I'm tripping over my words. Um, yeah, so that's very unfortunate to the ones that were abused. I'm sorry that
Mhm.
happened. Uh, I also watched 30 Minutes or Less, which is just it's a little comedy on Netflix. I watched it again, like Disturbia, a long time ago when I was a kid. It's okay. It's a comedy if you want to put that on and kind of take your mind off things. Um, and the next few, I have movies that I know you've seen, and I'm interested to talk to you about them. The first one I
Uh-huh.
watched was Me and You and Everyone We Know.
Ah, yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because
Uh,
I was riding that cajillionaire feeling, and I
yeah.
wanted to see more of what Miranda July had done.
Yeah, it's a lovely one. I think it really captures that part of the internet or that era of the internet quite well.
Mm-hmm.
And there's just I don't know, just the uh like for a debut, especially, it's quite strong. From
Agreed.
July, she's like, she's very, she comes from like the whole realm of like performance art, and you really kind of see her do that with her character in the film and stuff. But
Was she the
and it just really
main?
works really well.
Was she
Yeah,
the? Okay, all right, cool. Um,
yeah,
because I really liked her character, and I thought it was very funny, but also very very emotional, and it knew when it needed to have a balance between those or kind of lean into either side. Um,
yeah, exactly. I think
I'm
I
not
think that's why
sure.
I mean,
Mhm.
I was gonna say I think I like Kajillionaire more.
Yeah, I was gonna
But
say I'm not sure which one I like more, but I think I lean a little bit more towards Kajillionaire.
like, yeah, like, because the me and everyone we know also like she juggles a lot of different storylines and characters, in that movie.
Mm-hmm.
There's quite a few quite a web of people. And yeah, I think it's done all well, especially like because like in a lot of films, I think that if you try to get too many storylines in there, this is also a problem that I find with a lot of anthology films. It's like you can you can become really interested in like one storyline more than the other, and like
Mm-hmm.
the other ones just kind of seem weak in comparison, which brings a lot of it down. But
Mm-hmm.
I don't really think that July has that issue in Me and Everyone We Know. Um, I think that everything's strong and it all comes together quite well at the end.
Mm-hmm. I agree. Um, there were moments that I wasn't expecting, like the little kid.
Oh
I don't
yeah,
want to spoil anything because it did genuinely take me by surprise. But there's a plot line with I forget the kid's name, but it's yeah, I won't spoil anything, but I would definitely it's a high recommendation from me. Um, and the other one I watched, which I know me and you or you have seen and you saw it before me, and you actually told me to or you helped me in deciding to buy it on Blu-ray was Face Off,
yeah, great film. Oh yeah, when we went to
the
yeah
Big
when we went to
Lots.
we went to Big Lots, which everybody Big Lots. great place to get films. Cheap ass movies.
Yeah, and you can get a ton of them for like really cheap, like $1 or $2.
Well,
And they're on Blu-ray too as well.
I didn't tell. Oh, wait, Fulton, I didn't tell you. I got 300 Rise of an Empire from Big Lots for 75 cents.
Oh my God, that's quite impressive.
I know, and it's a 3D Blu-ray too. I mean, I don't have a 3D player, or a 3D TV, but
Do they still? There's
no.
no way they still make those. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, with
But
Face
yeah.
Off, so I think the opening is amazing. I love the concept, and then it's just diminishing returns to me after the opening.
You know, honestly, I rewatched it a little over a month ago, and I think I agree with you. I think that the premise is very strong, and I think that like it would have been a lot better if it was Cage
as Cage.
Yeah, Cage is Cage instead of Travolta as Cage, and Cage as Travolta. And like I know that's like the concept, that's the point of the movie, is that it's supposed to be like this ridiculous thing about like switching faces and bodies with someone, and it just being like a completely out there like idea, and it doesn't make a lot of sense, which is a benefit of the film. But like you see Cage just overacting as much as possible.
It's so
at the beginning.
It's perfect. I'd honestly say like the opening is perfect.
Yeah, like it's like, I mean, and Travolta has some good overacting bits too. Like when he goes, you good looking," or like just all that kind of stuff. But like it should have been in a perfect world. It would have been Cage would have been the good guy, Travolta would have been the bad guy, and then they would have switched faces. So then Cage could do the crazy shit, and Travolta would just be the good guy.
Yeah. I just felt like it's pretty long too. I want to say like 2 hours
it's like
and 18
2.5
minutes.
hours or something.
Yeah, it's very long. So like by the end, like, and I wanted to really like it. Like there's so much potential, and the film does have fun with its concept. But I just like it's hard when you have an opening where Nicolas Cage is a priest and he starts shaking his head like a rock star,
He grabs a girl's ass in the choir as he's singing Hallelujah. Yeah. I mean, it's not, it's hard to top that. It's, and especially like, I can also imagine that, especially after watching a film like Bad Boys 2, it's just like, man,
it's really put a damper on a lot, because I'm trying to build out, for people that might not know, I'm trying to build out like a legendary actions film list, which right now just comprised of like Predator 2, AVP, Bad Boys 2, Rambo Last Blood. So if you can kind of see where I'm going with that list, and there's a lot of movies I want to add, but I don't think they quite fit that level.
Well, hopefully when we watch Six Underground, it will be worthy.
Face Off, I really wanted to put in the opening. I was like, this is definitely going in, and by the ending, I was like, I don't know, but
I would say good crazy action movie that I recommend is Shoot 'Em Up with Clive Owen. Is great. So ridiculous, so crazy. Clive Owen kills people with carrots.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Were there any other movies that you wanted to talk about?
Yeah. I want to talk about Paul Schrader's remake of Cat People from 1982. I watched this. I was quite excited to watch this because like I really love Paul Schrader. I think he's a really great visionary director. That he's got just has a lot of work that's kind of very diverse and quite unique. He has like the more like crime type films, like Light Sleeper, and then he probably made like the best biopic my favorite biopic ever, Mishima. And
Mm-hmm.
then like you have like Cat People, which is like kind of a horror, horror thing, mystery horror, I don't know, fantasy. And it's like and I think I enjoyed it to a certain degree, but I don't think it's as strong as the original film from the 40s because Schrader kind of takes the movie and makes it incredibly horny, of course. And and so and so like I think it works to a certain extent, but
Mm-hmm.
like he also likes to like put in scenes from the original Cat People, like
Oh, that's
and I
interesting.
yeah, like it will just be like an exact replica of like one scene, like the scene where like one of the characters.
Oh, I thought you meant he actually like spliced in
Oh
the
no, no,
original
no.
film. Okay.
That would be pretty revolutionary though. But
Quite
like
the
but like
experiment.
yeah, but he like so he'll like put in, he'll like do like kind of copies shot by shot,
Mm-hmm.
shot for shots scenes from the original. And like there's this one part and probably one of the most famous scenes from the original film is when one character, Alice, she's like scared because she thinks that she's being followed by something while she goes to swim at a pool. And so like that scene is ripped directly from the original film, but it just lacks any of the tension in from that film, and it just
Mm-hmm.
feels like, oh, let's just throw it in there because it was in the original movie. Um,
Oh, that's
and
unfortunate.
yeah, they changed the setting up. Is the originals set in New York. This one's set in like New Orleans, which I appreciate.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's got Klaus Kinski's daughter in it, Natasha, as the lead. I would have preferred it to have, Klaus Kinski in it. He would have made a great a great a great sexually promiscuous cat person. But we can't, we can't get everything we want in life,
Mm-hmm.
you know. Um but I'd say check it out only if you watched the first movie. I feel like you'd appreciate it more if you watched the OG Cat People.
Yeah, that's always been on my list. I didn't even know that they made a remake till you told me about it.
Yeah, and there's also a sequel too. Not to the remake, but a sequel to the original film called
Oh,
Curse of the Cat People
was
that I
it
haven't
done
seen.
by the same director?
I don't know about the same director, but it's same cast and everything.
Oh, wow. Okay. Um, the only other movie that I briefly wanted to talk about, um, was I know how everything is right now. There's a lot of fucked up shit going on, and if you want to pick me up, I highly recommend Paddington. Um,
Yeah.
so I watched this one again because my girlfriend hadn't seen it, and it is truly a heartwarming little flick, I must say. Paddington is so sweet. That's all I want to say. It's just a nice pick me up for anyone that might be, feeling down or they just want to escape into a little film for a bit. So, oh shoot,
Yeah, it's
there was something else I wanted to talk about really quick. Um,
mhm.
uh, for people that might not know, in the the late '90s, I guess the Beatles signed off on a large docu-series that was going to be made called The Beatles Anthology. And I bought the box set because it's pricey to get and it's only on DVD. I guess you could pirate it somewhere, but I decided to buy it. But um, I started watching that finally because it's been sitting on my shelf for so long, and it definitely is a product of its time, and I mean that in the sense that it's a very in-depth story of the Beatles and their history, but it's very matter of fact, and
Yeah.
it's it's an odd experience that I've had with watching a documentary that I don't think I've ever really had before, and I don't know why I have this feeling about it, but when you walk into an abandoned house and it's cool to be there because it's something that's kind of frozen in time but it's also a little sad because it almost feels like it's cool, but it's sad at the same time. I
That's
don't know. Yeah.
because it's sad because the Beatles are no longer together. Is that why?
I don't really know why. I just have that feeling when I watch it. I don't know if it's that they're no longer together. I just have this weird feeling, uh, and it's hard for me to explain, but that's the closest I can get to why I feel like that when I watch it. It is very good. I just think the way it's kind of put together, it has that 90s documentary feeling. I mean, I wish I could explain it better, but it almost feels kind of eerie to some extent.
Mm.
Do you kind of know? I'd have to show it
I
to
mean, I've
you. It's
never
hard to
so
say.
I've never actually seen it.
Mhm.
I've listened to the those CDs a lot though.
Mhm.
Or because like those albums have a lot of cool material on them. Like,
For
you know,
sure.
there's three of them and it's super thorough. And you even get some like cool covers of like songs that they would end up going on to make in their solo careers. Like
Mhm.
there's a cover of All Things Must Pass, you know, the George Harrison song, but it's with,
Mhm.
you know, all the Beatles. And I think it's pretty cool. I mean, I still think that the version that ended up being the the version that ended up being released was like is definitely superior, but it's
Mhm.
just, you know,
It's
it's
so
neat.
cool to hear like the evolution of that idea and
Yeah.
that song. Um, I think that's kind of the biggest pull to this documentary because a lot of it is just it's weird because they'll play outtakes, and I think that was a big reason why a lot of people liked it because you're for the first time you're getting to hear all this like new old recordings of their songs and their band sessions or their recording sessions I should say. But where was I going with that? But when they do those moments where they dive into those outtakes, it's the room and it's just their instruments laying around the room, and the camera kind of like floats through the room, showing the instruments just standing still. And I think that's part of the reason why I just feel like it's somewhat eerie, because you're supposed to be with the music that's playing, you're supposed to be imagining this room full of people and these artists working together, but all you're seeing is just a hollow room, if that makes sense. And like the
Yeah.
way the introduction is, it starts off with them playing, and then it zooms out and it zooms out and keeps zooming out, and they're at the bottom of like this big Beatles logo, but it almost looks like it's in a vacuum. It's weird. I know I'm not supposed to have that feeling while watching it, but it's interesting. But it's still really interesting from a storytelling standpoint to get to hear
Did you
them
watch
talk.
did you watch the preview they
Oh,
put out on Disney Plus for the new documentary
for
that
Get
Peter
Back.
Jackson? Yeah.
Yeah, I originally I didn't want to, but then I ended up watching it just because I was really interested. I didn't want to watch it because I knew I was gonna see it anyways, but you know, I caved and I watched it. What did you think?
I thought it was good.
Mm-hmm.
Thought it was like it definitely made me a lot interested in it, but I'm still kind of like confused at like what it's exactly about.
So
Um
the whole story behind so when they made Let It Be, they had a film crew. They allowed a film crew to come and record them, and they ended up
so it's a
having
documentary about them making a documentary.
so they it's weird because that original crew recorded over like 56 hours of film of them recording Let It Be, which was originally supposed to be called Get Back, but um, Paul and Ring or so those filmmakers put together the movie. They called it Let It Be. They released it, and it was only released on like Laserdisc, I think. So it's
Yeah,
like it's one really rare Laserdisc, but apparently it portrayed the Beatles, and it only portrayed them fighting, and it portrayed that time as like them just like being super sick of each other. They don't want to be around each other, and apparently that's not really the whole story. And Paul, for some reason, Peter Jackson got all that footage and he was allowed to go look through it, and he saw something different. He saw all of them being friends. And so he wants to create a documentary about he wants to create a more accurate portrayal of that time in their lives and them making the album together. So it's essentially using, probably I would imagine, some of the same footage as that original documentary, but also a ton of new footage that was never used. But he's also doing it in the style that They Shall Not Grow Old, where he takes it and revamps it, or not
Yeah,
revamps it, but he improves
touches
the
it up.
footage. Yeah.
My only issue with They Shall Not Grow Old is like I thought it was I liked it. I thought it was cool, but like don't don't colorize black and white things. It like it's just like it looks so bad. Like cuz I mean, I my first experience with that was
Mhm.
I used to watch The Three Stooges as a kid,
Mhm.
and they put out a DVD of Three Stooges shorts. I think I think and like I remember that on the DVD, they also had them all touched up. Like so you could watch the regular original versions that they would show in the movie theaters back in the 30s or 40s,
Mhm.
and you could watch the colorized versions of that. And it's like
Mhm.
and it just looked so fake and inauthentic because like that's not what was there. You
Mhm.
can if you touch up some black and white footage, you can make it look really good.
Mhm.
um I'd take that any day,
Yeah.
over like you filling in the mental blanks about like, oh, what color I think is right here.
Yeah, and I do see, I mean, I personally I didn't mind it, but I also see where you're coming from, but I know the only reason I feel that it was uh, okay for him to do it is I know he's like a World War I nut, and I know he's
Yeah,
always going to strive to get it as accurate as he can be. So I do see where you're coming from, and I know that there was that whole issue with like what Universal or Paramount when they started re-releasing all their old movies in color, and Steven Spielberg was a popular opponent of that and tried to get that to stop, which is very good. Um, it's I think it brings in a big discussion of art, and with if it was a film and that had happened, I would have been more against that because it wasn't that original director's intention for it to be in color. But with documentary, well, with just footage that was about World War I, I don't know. I may have
yeah.
dug
I mean,
myself into a hole because all those you have so many different pieces of footage, you don't really know what the director's intent was. So, but I don't know.
I
It's
mean,
an interesting discussion.
I know that like Jackson, dedicated it to his
His grandpa
you
or
know,
uncle or
or he's
one
like
of them.
great grandfather or something.
Yeah.
I don't know, yeah. But like and I know that like yeah, it's something that he really cared about and stuff. I just it's more just like I just think I would have I like the documentary and everything. I just
Hmm.
think I would have liked the footage a lot more if it just was yeah, or just restored black and white footage that just could have looked. I mean, maybe that was a limitation. Like maybe they didn't have the ability to make it
Yeah.
look super good just in the state it was in. But like it is what it is. I'm still
Yeah.
happy that it exists. Yeah.
Yeah. I just wanted to add one more thing about the whole Let It Be anniversary. It was supposed to come out this year, but got delayed because of the coronavirus, and they want to release it in theaters. From what I've heard, they are also releasing the original documentary. So it's going to be interesting to see that documentary using some of the same footage, but they give two different portrayals. So I don't know. I just think that'll be kind of interesting to watch.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to watching both of them. And then there was that other documentary that I think Ron Howard did it about
The touring years.
No, it's called like 8 Days a Week, I think. Maybe.
I I've seen it. I don't remember exactly what it was called. I thought it was I
Yeah,
thought it
it
was
was
okay.
8 days a week, the touring years. Okay,
Oh,
so we're both
okay.
right.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought it was okay.
It
It
was.
was
I mean,
yeah.
it's Ron Howard.
Yeah. It get I mean, I don't want to throw too much in the pot. But my favorite documentary that is, focused on a Beatle is George Harrison living in the material world. I think that is such a I love that documentary. It gives such a good deep and honest portrayal of George Harrison. That one was done by Martin Scorsese.
Yeah,
Nothing has
that one is
really
great.
topped that for me yet, but you know, I know
Well, the
you
thing
can't
is
hold
that
all of them to one regard, but I do look at that as like being a very good documentary centering on one of them.
I know all these like making of documentaries and stuff. Like, there's so many of them out, but I'm just like really waiting for the making of documentary of the three Nostalgia Critic films.
Yeah, that one will. I'm honestly surprised he hasn't. I mean, I know we're joking here, but I'm honestly surprised he hasn't done that himself.
I mean,
I
yeah,
mean, that sounds like something that would be right up his alley.
please, Doug Walker. You know what the fans want. They want to see how Kickassia to Boldly Flee and Suburban Nights were made. Yeah. So I guess one more thing I want to bring up is Robot Monster, which is an excellent B film
Hmm.
from 1953. A lot of people have said that this is like one of the worst films ever made. And from a technical standpoint, they may be right, but I think that over the years, especially, its social capital has increased, as far as like being kind of a just enjoyable relic, and like just being so campy that even 60 years from now, I people can enjoy it.
Hmm.
And it's quick. It's only like, because most B movies, like, or what like a B movie actually was, because like people kind of misuse the term B movie now. But like a B movie was originally, or not, I wouldn't say misuse. I would say like it's grown, and like the term has, people utilize it in a different way than how it originally was. What it originally meant, because like a
Hmm.
lot of people, when they say B movie, you think like low budget, type movies. And yes, that is true, but a B movie back when they would do double features at the theater would usually be the second movie, and it would be like a 60-minute film that they would
Hmm.
put right after the bigger feature, you
Yeah.
so and so this is, classic example of that. But the main draw of it to me, is the fact that it's very low effort as far as like what they either had on hand, or like what they could do for the robot monster that they
Hmm.
had. So it's just a gorilla suit, and then they put like a diver's helmet over it. And
Sick.
he just kind of waddles around he just waddles around the desert. Um and that's like pretty much the movie for like 60 minutes. And like
Hmm.
there's also like a 700-page book about the making of this movie,
Oh
which is like,
wow.
super thorough, called I Cannot Yet I Must: The True Story of the Best Bad Monster Movie of All Time, Robot Monster. Um, so I don't know if I'll get around to reading that. I already have a lot of other books to get to, but I would love to at least see some excerpts, because I do find this movie very, very interesting. Just about like, I don't know, just how ridiculous the monster is. And I
Yeah.
don't know, the poster's really cool. It was like, it was one of those movies that like they had in 3D back then, and
Hmm.
like the 3D is like really bad. Uh, it's just excellent camp, like,
Hmm.
and the robot's name is Roman. Row
Oh,
hyphen man.
That's a perfect name. Well, are you ready to move on to the news?
Yeah, yeah. Let's do it.
All right,
Let's
I'll
do it.
try and rattle them off. We have Danny Boyle working on a Sex Pistols miniseries, so that's interesting. The Russo brothers' new film, starring Tom Holland, is coming out this year. It's going to be Apple TV Plus exclusive. It's called Cherry. It looks interesting. I've already seen one negative review, but you know,
Well, I mean, the Russo brothers, they before they directed the Marvel movies, I think that like the only thing that they really did was like episodes of Community or something, I
I
want to
th-
say.
I want
No, wait, no, not the Russo brothers. No, sorry, I'm getting the Russo brothers and the Endgame people mixed up. Um,
no, that's the same people.
oh, it is. Okay,
Yeah,
sorry.
yeah, you're. I think they worked on Arrested Development too.
Oh,
I
okay.
could be wrong, but I want to say they did. Um, yeah, I mean, while I'm not a big fan of their works in the MCU, I don't. That's more of my issue with Marvel, but I know we've already kind of both expressed our feelings about that a few like an episode or two ago or something like that. Um, I don't know. It does look interesting. I didn't watch the trailer just because I feel like it's gonna spoil stuff, but I'll probably get around to it eventually, I feel like. But um Vera Farmiga is working on a new horror movie called Bad Bloom. Zendaya and David Washington. Is it David John?
John David
Oh,
Washington.
John David Washington. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
The movie that they shot during quarantine is now coming out. It's called Malcolm and Mary or Marie. I hope I'm saying that right.
Yeah, it's the one that's coming out on Netflix. It's in black and white.
Yeah, it looks
Yeah,
interesting.
but it
Zack
better not
Snyder.
be.
Mm,
It's probably digital black and
it does look like digital black. I could be
white.
wrong. I could definitely bite my tongue on that one. But it does look like digital black and white, which you know. So maybe
Well,
there was some issue with getting filmed during the coronavirus.
n- n- no
Who
excuses.
knows?
Oh nope, 35 millimeter.
It is? Okay. So I
Yeah.
was wrong. My bad. I was just going off a still that I remember seeing.
Oh wait, printed film format. I don't. I. It's hard sometimes when I go through and look at like the technical specifications.
Hmm.
I get kind of confused because I don't. It says negative format 35 millimeter cinematographic process digital intermediate 4K super 35 and then printed film format video UHD. So I don't know.
I
It's like
want to say that does mean that because I I'm a little rough on my terminology, but I know there's been a big debacle over intermediate, like the film intermediate or something. I don't want to say anything definitive because I don't have 100% confidence in what I'm talking about, but I want to say I heard something about that, but I'm
oh
not
wait no it
sure.
was 35 millimeter. All right,
Okay.
yeah,
All right, well that's good.
awesome.
Um, Speaking of awesome news, Zack Snyder is following up. I guess he's done with the Snyder cut of the Justice League.
Thank
Um,
God.
well, it's getting a 4K release, which I was quite surprised by, like an actual physical release. I was surprised that Warner Brothers was going to do that because I thought they'd just want to have that as an anchor on HBO Max because that was a big thing for them advertising it. But he's working on a movie called Army of the Dead, which is a zombie heist film. So we've got a new Zack Snyder film to look forward to. Um,
Well, looking forward
is
uh
generous.
yeah.
But I think he's I'm not gonna talk about Zack Snyder right now. I hate to say it, but it is happening. Kevin Feige is working on a Star Wars film, and it's just found its writer and director in Michael Waldron. Hope I'm saying that one right. I don't know anything about this man, but that's happening. Alex Garland is has just released some casting for his new movie. It will have Jesse Buckley and Roy Kinnear. Um, so that should be interesting. I'm looking forward to see what he'll do next. Speaking of other, pandemic filmed, or I guess we should say, films made during the pandemic. There's a new movie called Lockdown, which is a heist thriller set during the pandemic. It has Anne Hathaway. And I know I'm gonna butcher this name, so just bear with me. Chiwetel El.
Chiwetel
Yeah, thank you. My saving grace, bud.
I
Roman
probably
Atkinson.
didn't even pronounce that right.
Well, you did better than me. I couldn't even get it out of my mouth. Rowan Atkinson is developing a Mr. Bean animated film. Did I say that one wrong?
No, it's right.
Okay.
I thought it was Rowan Atkinson's developing a Mr. Bean anime.
That would be pretty sick. I saw a still from it. It looks, Chris, I know you'll be happy to hear this news. Robert Rodriguez is developing a We Can Be Heroes sequel.
Oh God, no! Man, why would you make the worst thing? Why would you make the worst thing that you've ever made and then say I want more of that? I love you, Rob, but you gotta move.
He's a busy man now.
I know. I
Between
guess
Netflix and Star Wars.
Yeah, that's right.
And the last thing, I just thought I would, put this in there. Deadpool 3 is coming out. It will be within the MCU cinematic universe and will be rated R. So that is also happening.
I mean, is there really any other thing that I, can look forward to until that comes out? It's like almost like I'll just be waiting.
Yeah, just I do want to throw this out there in the news section just out of personal interest, and I did not know this when it came out, but I think Paramount. I don't know. I want to say it was Paramount. They released a Alfred Hitchcock classic collection in 4K. It takes Vertigo, Psycho.
That was a Universal set.
That was Universal. Okay.
Yeah.
I did not know this, but for fans of Psycho, it comes with the uncut version of Psycho. I did not know that there was an uncut version, but apparently the home releases have been a trimmed cut down version that was approved by the MPAA, and the uncut version is the one that was originally released in theaters. The unfortunate thing about that is the only way to see it is by buying that 4K set. So it's something I'll pick up eventually, but I'm interested to see what the uncut one has in store. I can only imagine that it's just like more violent scenes, I guess, of the murders. But for anyone that might be interested, I just thought I'd throw that in there.
It did push the envelope back then.
Yeah.
So, I was thinking, we should do a Psycho thing. I'd like to watch the Van Sant one.
Oh man, I'd love to. I watched it forever ago, and even as a kid, I didn't really like it, but I would like to reevaluate it now. I thought about doing a retrospective because I do enjoy 3 through 4, but I don't know. It's something we can talk about, but we'll take an ad break real quick, and then we'll hop into our feature film discussion about The Doors. Chris, do you want to introduce our feature film?
Yeah. So yeah, we're back. First episode of the new year, first regular episode of the new year, I should say.
Yeah.
And we're talking Oliver Stone's 1991 film, The Doors. This was my pick, and unlike other films that we've talked about, this was a movie that I've seen before, maybe about 5 years ago or so, and I just felt keen on revisiting this film. So So in correct podcast 43 fashion, Fulton, how did you feel, or what did you think about Oliver Stone's The Doors on your
So,
first viewing?
um, for me to kind of build out my first impression with it, I'll just give it um I'll just say a few things about what I knew about the Doors and Jim Morrison before watching, because I feel like that's kind of important to maybe understand where I'm coming from about this film.
Mm,
I've heard a few of their songs. I have never really gotten into the Doors. It's just because I never really gave them the big chance. They were a band that I always wanted to get more into. A few of my friends were really into them. Um, I never really picked up on Jim Morrison's songwriting approach and his lyrics. I didn't really notice. I'm trying to think. I didn't really have a great understanding of it by listening to the music. I just guess I never really paid too much attention to it when I was listening to it, which shame on me because I should have. And I like to give music my full attention.
mm-hmm.
But it was really with the movie with this movie it does crop up a lot. It takes up a lot of the dialogue too within the script. Um, I will say this, with it being called The Doors, I don't think it should have been called The Doors, but I guess it depends on how you look at The Doors. Do you remember The Doors by remembering Jim Morrison, or do you remember all of the other members? Um, which this movie
Yeah,
doesn't really, it's mainly a movie about Jim Morrison.
yeah.
And,
It's not really, you get some little insights from the other from Robbie Krieger, Ray Manzarek, and John Densmore, the other three
mhm,
members. But you don't really see enough of them. I'm
yeah.
like Kyle MacLachlan as Ray Manzarek
hmm
is pretty great.
I
Kind of
love
as
I love him, man. I was just a
a
little I wanted to I liked how they kind of just came together, and then that's kind of about it. And then um but I did want to say at first I wasn't too crazy about the film. But the farther it went, well, the longer the more I watched, the more I started to enjoy it a little bit more. Um,
yeah.
mm,
The I think the way that Stone, the way that he kind of tells the story, I think is its biggest strong suit, as far as like it just kind of everything's kind of tied together with like
mhm.
the Doors music. Like it's always pretty much, it feels like in every single scene it's like playing in the background or
Oh,
in the
for sure.
foreground or something.
That
And I
was a
really
gripe of mine at first. I thought it was a little too overstuffed with music, but then I started to kind of like enjoy it the more it went on.
I loved that this time around.
Mm,
And like also Oliver Stone was a like he I believe he corresponded with, he knew Jim Morrison on a personal level.
mhm,
Um, so it also kind of adds a different level of like where he's coming at as far as like making this movie,
mhm,
because like yeah, he knew Jim Morrison and like wanted to tell this story and had wanted to tell this story for like such a long time, like
mhm,
I think since like the 70s he's been trying to get this made. So um but yeah, the thing is everything kind of is weaved together through the soundtrack. And um my gripes with this movie
mhm.
are that I think there are some parts that kind of come off as a bit like masturbatory, and I
Yeah.
can't tell if it's Oliver Stone kind of winking at the camera and being like, isn't this annoying and masturbatory, or Oliver
Mhm,
Stone being masturbatory in an unironic sense. Like that part there, so there's a part in the movie where Jim Morrison is at a party that's hosted by Andy Warhol, and like the Velvet
Crispin Glover.
Underground. Yeah, Crispin
I love
Glover's there.
that.
And then he's at the party and he meets Andy Warhol, and like the guy that plays Andy Warhol, I don't even know
Crispin Glover.
that was. Crispin Glover, that was
I'm
Andy Warhol.
I could be wrong, but I thought it was. Here, let me look it up.
But yeah, you're right, it was Crispin Glover.
Yeah, I reckon
I thought-
I've never seen him in that type of role before. I love Crispin Glover, but
I thought that Crispin Glover, his portrayal of Andy Warhol was just a bit like stupid, and then he's also like, "I have this phone, and you can talk to God if you want." And it's just
I don't really know too much about Andy Warhol, so that may have just went over me. I thought honestly he was being led to Andy Warhol to. I thought they were gonna have sex or something. I don't know. That's what it felt like at first.
Andy Warhol famously was quite a celibate man, actually.
Oh wow!
He said that he was like I don't. I want to say that like Andy Warhol said something along the lines of like I don't enjoy having sex, or I've never, like, I'm a gay virgin or something, like I don't
Wow, okay.
Yeah.
I always thought that he was openly gay man, but like I said, I didn't know too much about him. Wow, okay.
Yeah, he was an openly gay man, but he just didn't, he just didn't, like, I don't know, he just wasn't his thing.
That's so interesting. Okay. Wow. All right, well, yeah, I can see where you're coming from. Well, I'll continue with what you were saying about the scene, then I'll get into what I was going to say later.
Well, I just thought that scene was kind of a bit stupid. I thought it was a bit like at least that part of the scene, I thought it was like so pretentious and dumb. And like I don't know if like that was the point, or if like it was Oliver Stone actually trying to be insightful or deep in that scene. And so, like, I mean, I think it also kind of maybe ties into kind of like the mythos and like persona of somebody like Jim Morrison, as somebody that like kind of, I feel like he, in a lot of ways, like he dropped out of college, but like he still had that like college like college philosophy bro type.
See, that's
Yeah,
what
like
I couldn't get past at first. I was like, oh my God, like, why does anyone want to be around him? That was like my first initial thing. Like, I think, what does he say to like the wolf that walks through the fire is like the only one, or whatever he tells to Meg Ryan at first. I just thought it was very funny.
I just thought about that meme where it's like inside of you are two wolves.
Well, I love that scene when he's showing the film. There's a scene early on in the movie where you first see Kyle MacLachlan as Ray. I don't know his last name. I'm sorry, but Jim is showing his Manzarek. Okay, Jim is showing his film, and it's just like this girl stripping on top of a. She's stripping on top of a TV that's playing Nazi footage, and then it's like spliced together with Jim like reading from poetry books and his own poetry, and then Ray's like, "Fuck them, man! This is awesome, man! This is art, man!" And it's just like.
This is Godard.
Yeah, yeah, it's just so funny. They're like, I don't know, man. But
I think honestly, like I think that honestly, like it's like it's kind of I like it for that reason, because it's like that's if you're like this like artist in the growing up in like the late 60s during like the height of counterculture and like the Vietnam War protests and stuff, it's like you'd totally be like, yeah dude, I'm trying to break the limits of like what cinema is and stuff, and like I'm just gonna start, reading a fuck ton of like Norman Mailer and just saying things and like, um, and so yeah, like I think it works in a lot of ways because like I think it kind of shows who Jim Morrison was as a person, but then there are also some parts where I I put into question like if that's the intent or not. But did you?
So I really enjoyed Val Kilmer as Jim Morrison. My biggest thing was I felt like that to just that idea of him being a college philosopher bro. I felt like that shtick was never dropped. There's a few moments where he's recording, I guess, his life story in Paris, or he's recapturing moments of his life where it seems
Mm,
like he's pretty straightforward. I really enjoyed those moments, but that might be due to my lack of information of Jim Morrison. I don't really know what type of guy he was, so I don't know how accurate this movie is in portraying him, because he seemed to, like, I like those moments where he says that, um I'm trying to think of the quote, but he basically says that he's a self-destructive person. He ruins every relationship that he has. I like those kind of reflective moments like that, where he's not
yeah,
spouting out poetry and um stuff, and that, I guess, with some of the lyrics of The Doors, I like the idea that it builds a feeling and an emotion. It might not even like logically make sense what he's saying. I
yeah. It's
thought
just
that
kind
was
of like it
cool.
sounds cool. Like,
Yeah, like
um,
the scene. It wasn't at Woodstock, but it's the scene where they have um, the big fire pit, and he starts to wander down off stage into it, and then he has the visions of him dancing with Native Americans and stuff. I thought that whole concert scene was really cool, and it really built the imagery of the lyrics very well, in terms of building an emotion.
yeah, and that's
I just
that's
can't
what
remember where it was. I think it was maybe DC or something. I don't know. You were
it
saying, I'm sorry.
was in the fire pit, wasn't that?
It was like near the halfway point of the movie.
Wasn't that Miami? No, no, Miami was near the end. Uh,
Was that the one where he used
you had
his
to go to
finger?
court.
Yeah. That
Yeah,
was a pretty good scene.
yeah. Did you like there was a all did you like the Oliver Stone cameo at the beginning? He was the professor at
Oh, for
UCLA.
real? Oh, that's
Yeah.
cool. I didn't know. I didn't pick up
Yeah.
on that.
Yeah.
My main thing about the film is I feel like I don't quite understand it, but I think the film as an experience it's quite something to kind of see and check out.
Yeah,
Um
as somebody that I kind of grew up listening to The Doors, like
mhm,
my parents actually had this soundtrack to this film on CD, and like I would always listen to it all the time. Like it was the CD that I was obsessed with when I was like 5, when we go on long car rides.
mhm,
And I just through well coincidentally I a lot of the Doors music reminds me of driving through like France. Like LA Woman especially is a
mhm,
song that I think of whenever I listen to it. I think of France and stuff and driving through,
mhm.
driving on the highway, and it's coincidentally, where Jim Morrison was buried at Père Lachaise in Paris,
Mhm.
um, which is they show at the end of the movie. Yeah, spoilers. He's dead.
Yeah.
Spoilers, guys.
I know there's some people that believe that he's still roaming around or something, but it
That's
happens
right.
with every major death.
He's hanging out with XXX Tentacion and Juice World. um,
That'd be
but
quite a sight to behold on an old Jim
yeah.
Morrison hanging out with XXX and Juice World. Oh
but
man.
but like I didn't end up watching this movie until maybe, I probably watched it when I was 15 for the first time.
Mhm.
Um, but like I was so into the music of the Doors, and it was, such a formative thing to me. And I
Mhm.
was always just like, I always wondered like who Jim Morrison was, who this person was, and like what was he about? Because like I just think that the cover of this movie is so striking. Like I know it's not,
Mhm.
the cover is not actually Jim Morrison, it's Val Kilmer, but
Yeah.
Val Kilmer just does a really good job looking like Jim Morrison, and
He
like
I loved watching
yeah,
I loved watching him as Jim Morrison, although I don't completely understand it.
and it's like you have like the fiery like inferno
Mhm.
engulfing all over, and then like his face, and I was always like, man, this is, I knew that I fully didn't understand like what the Doors were
Mhm.
exactly, and like what they kind of represented to a lot of people, about like kind of that type of countercultural movement
Mhm.
and stuff. But like I was so curious, and just I just loved their music, and so to watch it finally was quite great. um After I also would read Morrison's poetry and stuff, which isn't very good. I will admit.
I thought
Is
that interviewer there's a scene where interviewer says like, "Well, Mr. Morrison, how do you feel about your poetry book being slammed as high school poetry?" I thought
yeah.
that was pretty funny.
Yeah, I mean, it is in some ways. It's like what you said, like he'll just say things and they'll sound cool. And it's
Mhm.
like it's cool because it's combined with great music, and like the Doors are kind of a unique rock band, and because like they have a keyboard, and like,
Mhm.
that's not really a conventional instrument for a lot of, classic, or yeah, classic bands from back then, um but like isolated from that, like no, like it's yeah, it's no.
I don't think it
There is
the the supporting instrumentals help build it so much more than it by itself. Like
oh
that's
yeah.
why I think like when I hear him just like tell it to people, which happens because he never like I feel like throughout the film Jim never really talks to people. He's just kind of spouting shit at them. If that kind of
No. He's just like, let's do ecstasy, let's kill
yeah,
somebody.
I
Like
love how many times he's like, but if we did peyote, like, how cool would that be? I
they're
do
just all
in
like
yeah.
they're just all like,
No,
no.
Jim, please. Have an
I love
in.
I love the kind of it's almost like the foils between Jim Morrison and Ray Manzarek. Like Ray Manzarek looks like a nerd, like he's got like
Yeah,
the glasses and stuff, and like just stays away from all that stuff. And Jim Morrison's just like, yeah, let's
let's be a
let's let's
rock band.
let's fucking go. Let's cause some trouble tonight. Let's like
I'm the Lizard King, or I'm
yeah,
I don't know.
I'm the Lizard King. Yeah,
Yeah.
do anything.
Um. Yeah, I can understand some people's criticisms about the film, but I think
Just such
I can see it, but I still was quite entertained with it.
just such yeah, it's just such a great experience. Like
Yeah.
I think that it's like it's one of Stone's better, definitely probably one of my favorite Stone films that I've
Hmm.
seen, at least. Uh I mean, out of the biopics that I've seen him do, I haven't seen I haven't seen W or Nixon, but his Edward Snowden movie is god awful.
Hmm.
Snowden,
I haven't
and
seen that one yet, but I remember you telling me just to watch Citizen 4.
yeah, Citizen 4 is just better in every way. And it's
Hmm.
like, and I think it's because he kind of leans too much into like just telling a straightforward story, and as opposed to this where it's kind of, I guess Born on the 4th of July is pretty good too, actually.
Hmm.
I would recommend that one. It's about this guy Ron Kovic that fought in the Vietnam War, and then gets like paralyzed and becomes like a huge anti-war advocate, like, and
Mhm.
realizes like all about like, how bad the war was and stuff, and like how he was pretty much lied to about it. But
Mhm. Uh,
great Tom Cruise performance.
yeah, that's been on one I've been wanting to check out, but I am interested. So to be such a big fan of The Doors, and then to see this movie, did you feel like it gave you I'm trying to did you get that satisfaction of getting a true understanding of The Doors?
Yeah, I think I did,
Mhm.
because I mean, or maybe just kind of like seeing. I mean, because a lot of there is a lot of things that in this movie that like that isn't true or was changed and stuff to tell a better story.
Mhm.
And I'm not really gonna hold that against Oliver Stone,
Mhm.
um and somebody else wrote this, but uh Oliver Stone and Randall Johnson. But I will say that like um I don't think like I like learned anything new. I mean, well,
Mhm.
at least the first time I watched it, I'll say. But I just think that it does them justice as a group. And it's like maybe the first time that I watched it, I felt like, oh man, why are they just like portraying him? Why are they portraying Jim Morrison as such a bumbling drunk that just can't get anything right?
I have the same feeling,
And it's like I don't
or
know, maybe
yeah.
that's probably how he was though. Like
Yeah.
like, I mean,
That's what I was curious about out because I mean, you can't even count on your hands. And probably if you were to combine, 10 fingers, 10 toes, you probably can't count on your body how many times you see Jim Morrison just randomly
taking
pull
swigs
out
of liquor.
yeah, liquor or rum or vodka. Like, I feel like there's not a single scene where he's not at least taking some substance. And that's what I was curious about. Because I kept asking myself, I was like, is Jim Morrison actually, was he really like this? Because it almost becomes a little, it's sad, but I feel like it almost became comical at the end because he just doesn't stop. But, um, well, comical is the wrong word, but, um, it is very sad and unfortunate that he wasn't able to find a better way to deal with it. And I do really like that scene. I think you said it was the Miami performance
Mhm.
where kind of
Oh,
that's
yeah.
like the last straw. It is very
Yeah.
sad to see the guitar player forget his Eddie. Was it what was the guitar player's name?
Oh, you talking about Robbie Krieger?
Robbie Krieger. It because he even brings it up to Jim. He's like, Jim, stop running away from it. Stop using stuff to get away from it and just face it. And then Jim immediately talks him into doing ecstasy, but or LSD or
Yeah.
whatever you want to call it. But yeah, it's interesting. So his at the end of the film, it because I'm just curious. It says that he had complications with heart failure. Was that due to the excessive use of everything that he was doing?
It was the drugs, and it was
Yeah.
the drinking, and like, he is just that was kind of what ended up doing
Mm-hmm.
him. And I think also I do think it's visiting is I went to his grave in Paris
Mm-hmm.
when I was last there, actually. And it's like kind of they show it at the end of the movie, but like, yeah, it's like kind of how every other grave site there, because there's all types of people at Père Lachaise. And his grave also kind of sticks out like a sore thumb, because all these other people are like Edith Piaf,
Mm-hmm.
the French singer, and like Honore de Balzac, the 19th century French writer and
Mm-hmm.
stuff. And then you have Jim Morrison, this American, like counterculture icon singer.
Mm-hmm.
But also like his gravesite is greatly different from everything else, where like, people have there's like graffiti all over the place. People put
Mm-hmm.
like bottles of liquor and stuff all over it, and it's like
Oh
always
boy.
defaced and stuff.
Yeah.
Um, which like is obviously disrespectful, but
Yeah.
also
It
like kind of like it's so Jim Morrison,
Yeah, I was gonna say it almost seems fitting. I just want to
Yeah.
clarify, and because I don't want this to be taken out of context. When I said it was comical, I mean it's kind of comical in the same sense of how many times he asked people to do like peyote, with
Yeah.
him picking up the bottle. I just didn't want people to think I thought alcoholism
Yeah.
was funny.
I
I
get
just mean, in terms of the story and how much. But um, so
I
I
get yeah.
I definitely feel like I know more about it's definitely piqued my interest. I do want to kind of explore more of their music and stuff like that. But
Yeah, it's great. Yeah, they make great music. I mean, like that first album's one of the best
oh,
ever.
I was gonna ask you near the end, I think when they're mastering Riders of the Storm.
Riders on the Storm, yeah.
Yeah, sorry. Uh did you, because they briefly talk about how the reception has kind of dwindled. Is that something
Mhm.
you experienced too? Did they have like a dip in quality in their later
Oh,
albums?
definitely. Oh,
Okay.
definitely. Yeah, they they like hit a dip definitely with their fourth album, The Soft Parade. It was just pretty bad. It was
Mm.
just like they wanted to do like this weird like jazz fusion like parade type music.
Huh.
And there really aren't a lot of songs that people that like are at least like essential, I'd say, on that, other than Touch Me, which is just a really great song, which they
Mm-hmm.
play in the movie. But like their last album with Morrison, LA Woman, is really good.
Mm-hmm.
Then they went on to make two other albums without Jim Morrison,
Was that
which
after he had passed away?
yeah, yeah.
Oh,
It
I
was
was I
very
was curious to see if they did that, but I'm assuming those
yeah.
weren't very good either.
Nah, dude, that yeah, like funny stories that like I had uh a Doors CD, and I remember like one of the songs on there
Mm-hmm.
was from their album that came out a year after Morrison died, called Full Circle, and like it
Mm-hmm.
has this one song on there called like The Mosquito, and it's like it's so bad. It's like,
Mm.
Molesky Mosquito, I want my burrito.
Oh my God.
Yeah, dude, it is so
I
bad.
mean,
And
I
it was like,
think I don't know if there's really a Doors without Jim Morrison. I think and I know Robbie, right? Robbie,
yeah, Robbie Krieger,
yeah,
yeah.
I know he wrote some of the songs too. So I know it's not all Morrison, but I think a lot of it had to do with just my taking away from the film. It had to do a lot with his imagery, within his writing and also his delivery on a lot of things. I think that really kind of built it out.
Yeah,
And
and
without
I think
him, I
that
can't really. I think they're good musicians. Don't get me wrong. Um, but I think for them to be I think they should have taken the New Order approach where they kind of formed their own band. But
yeah.
you know,
Yeah. Well, I think well that goes back to your question. Your first question was like, i- this isn't really, this shouldn't really be called The Doors. It's because it's about Jim Morrison, but at the end of the
yeah,
day, like, is there a Jim Morrison? Is there a Doors without Jim Morrison? And I don't think that there is,
yeah.
You can
It's
try as much as you want, but yeah, like there's no New Order. I mean, there's no Joy Division without Ian Curtis, and
yeah, for sure.
they knew that. Yeah.
And then they even found a crazy amount of success as New Order too. Um,
Yeah.
I definitely feel like this is a film I'm gonna come back to. Maybe not this year, but I can definitely feel that it's gonna pique my interest again. I just have a feeling that
Oliver
I'm gonna rewatch it.
Oliver Stone did a director's cut, and
Oh, for real?
premiered it at Cannes. in, I want to say in 2018 or maybe 2019.
Hmm.
I haven't seen it yet, but I
Has
don't know.
it
Oliver Stone's big on director's cuts.
has it been? Have you heard any reviews of it?
Uh, yeah, I haven't, but it's been a while, so I don't
Hmm.
really know the differences. But I could probably pull them up. But they dropped it in 4K,
Oh wow.
on
Okay.
Blu-ray.
Okay. I'll have to
So
add that one to the list to pick up.
yeah, it's got. I think it's got both versions and stuff. But um, yeah, I gotta get on that. I'm gonna watch all 4 cuts of Alexander.
Ooh. Is there a good cut? Just out of curiosity, is there like a
I've
cut that
heard that.
people?
I've heard the ultimate cut is like definitely better, but like I don't think anybody's like, holy shit, like you have to watch like Alexander because of the
Yeah,
ultimate cut. Like, I mean, I want to watch Alexander just because I'm a completionist when it comes to
directors.
watching. Well, certain director, Oliver
Mhm.
Stone at least. Like,
Yeah,
um,
I'm the same way
but
about certain people.
like man, like it's just crazy to think that he recut that movie 4 times, or he recut it 3 times.
He's
Like
trying to
that's
make it work, man. He had
yeah.
passion for it. I'll give him that. For him to go through it that many times. Um,
There's a good there are some movies where it's like the director's cut like makes the movie better. Like I've heard that like Kingdom of Heaven, the Ridley Scott movie, like
yeah, I've heard the same
most people say
thing.
like the director's cut's like incredible. Like
There's only like just to give a shout out to one of our previous videos, I guess. There's when I was trying to find information on the director's cut of Texasville, there's like one dude that wrote a good article, or not good, but he did what I thought it was an interesting read, but there's one big proponent of the Texasville director's cut if you can get your hands on it. So,
yeah,
but
I
maybe we'll
we'll hope
have a
to watch it soon.
review. Hmm.
Wink, wink. It looks like Reagan Jones may be coming back on.
Ooh, maybe look out for that sometime in February, but who
Ooh.
knows?
Yeah, I don't know where this
Who
information is coming from.
knows? Yeah, maybe we're cooking up something. But um, was there anything else you kind of wanted to talk about with the doors?
No, I not really, not really anything else other than yeah, be like Morrison. Read some. No, not like that. Not
It's quite an
do
interesting
peyote, do
statement.
peyote with your homies in the
Yeah.
California desert. Just
Have a
kidding.
naked
That's
dude
a joke.
follow you around.
But read some Mailer and speak your truth, poetry wise.
Hmm. Agreed.
But yeah, Fulton, do you want to introduce our next week's film?
Yes. I'm forgetting. Sorry, I want to look up
Yeah, it's
the 1978. Okay. Or my feature film for next week that I'm choosing is Robert Zemeckis' 1978. I Want to Hold Your Hand. If you guys couldn't tell, I'm on a little bit of a Beatles kick, and this is one movie that I always kind of wanted to see. Um, so yeah, we're gonna check out. It's loosely related to the Beatles. I don't think it's not focused on them, but it's focused on their Ed Sullivan performance. So
mhm,
should be
yeah.
interesting.
Which also the Doors had an Ed Sullivan
An
performance too.
infamous one.
The infamous Ed Sullivan performance touched upon in the film.
That the set design for that performance was I really really thought that was cool.
And the guy playing Ed Sullivan was he did a good job.
Yeah.
Just imagine, it's just weird though. Like, okay, one more thing before this,
Yeah,
before we're done. But
that's okay.
I'm just really interested in like how big of a deal like those shows like used to be, and like now, like
They're
I couldn't imagine
nothing.
pick them being like, okay, we need somebody to play like James Corden because this is an important part of like this person's career, you know?
Well, no, I mean, I completely see where you're coming from. I want to retract what I said when I mean that they're nothing. It does give artists a platform to maybe reach a bigger
Yeah.
and different audience. I just think that like they don't hold nearly as much significance as they once did. But I do like
No, they're
artists
yeah.
that actually like try to create a different experience with those shows.
I
Um,
watch I watch a lot. If I like the artist, I'll watch him. Like I watched
mhm,
pretty much all of Phoebe Bridgers' musical performances. She's been, you know, when she was last year when she was making the rounds on
mhm.
like Jimmy Kimmel and like Jimmy Fallon and stuff. But like
All the Jimmys.
yeah, both the Jimmys.
She did.
But and on of course Jimmy Stewart.
Yeah. Jimmy Buffett.
Yeah, Jimmy World.
um yeah, there's another movie. I was just a little insider thing, I guess. I was talking to Chris about this before we start recording, but Backbeat, because that's another, Beatles related one. Thinking about that one. Maybe I'll
Yeah.
do that one later or something, but I get scared, but I normally try to choose something that me and you haven't watched. So,
Yeah.
I don't
I
know.
mean,
That'll
that's
be interesting.
yeah, all right. Well, yeah, so next week I want to hold your hand and y'all have a good week. Stay wavy.
Bye.